Islam lets men have 4 wives. You've heard it. Maybe you've said it. Maybe someone threw it at you in an argument about Islam. And here's the thing, it's technically true. But it's also one of the most incomplete statements anyone can make about Islamic teaching. And the parts that get left out, they completely change the picture. Today we're going through all of it. The history, the full verse, the conditions, the women's rights, and the actual reality of how Muslim communities live. Let's go. Welcome to Path to Islam. I'm Mohammed. This channel exists to help people understand Islam the right way, with honest answers to real questions. If you're new here, subscribe now. We don't dodge hard topics. We go straight into them. Alright, let's talk about the multiple wives question. Section 1. The full verse. Every conversation about this topic starts with Quran 4:3, but almost nobody quotes the whole thing. Here it is in full. And if you fear that you will not deal justly with the orphan girls, then marry those that please you of women, 2, 3, or 4. But if you fear that you will not be just, then marry only one. Notice 3 things happening in that single verse. It starts with orphans and justice, not male preference. It makes the permission conditional on justice, a condition, not a blank check. And it presents monogamy as the safer, more appropriate default. But here's the verse that changes everything. 2 chapters later, Quran 4:129. You will never be able to be just between your wives, even if you earnestly desire it. The same book that mentioned multiple wives also said that the full justice required is humanly impossible to achieve. That's not a contradiction. That's the Quran setting a standard so demanding it functions, for most men, as a practical restriction. Section 2. The history nobody tells. You cannot understand this ruling without understanding the moment it was revealed. The early Muslim community in Arabia was at war. The Battle of Uhud, one of the most significant in Islamic history, killed large numbers of Muslim men. Families lost their providers. Women were widowed. Children were orphaned. And in 7th century Arabia, with no government welfare, no social safety net, no institutional support, a woman without a provider faced genuine, life-threatening vulnerability. Polygyny in that context was social welfare, a structured mechanism to ensure that vulnerable women and orphan children were brought into stable households with protection and provision. And look at the Prophet Muhammad himself. He was married exclusively to Khadija, one woman, for 25 years. Monogamous, devoted, until she passed away. His later marriages, predominantly to widows, women who had lost their husbands, women with children, women in vulnerable circumstances who needed protection. That's the origin story of this practice in Islam. It was about taking care of people who had no one. That context is almost never part of the conversation, and without it, the entire picture is wrong. Section 3. The conditions most people skip. Now let's talk about what Islamic law actually requires for a polygynous marriage. First, equal financial provision. A man must be able to fully provide for all households at an equal standard. Not approximate equality. Equal. Second, equal time. Equal physical presence and attention divided fairly between wives. The Prophet himself kept a strict schedule for this when he had multiple wives. Third, equal treatment. Equal respect. Equal emotional attention to the degree humanly possible. And the spiritual warning the Prophet gave is serious. A man who inclines unfairly toward one wife will stand on the day of resurrection with one side of his body drooping. That's not a casual warning. That's a direct statement that injustice in this area carries real spiritual consequence. But here's the piece that almost never gets mentioned: women's rights in this framework. Every Muslim woman has the right to insert a clause into her marriage contract before she agrees to marry, stating that her husband may not take a second wife. If he accepts that clause and then violates it, she has legal grounds to divorce him. That protection is not modern. It's classical Islamic jurisprudence. It's been there the whole time. Section 4. What the current reality actually looks like. Here's the data that rarely makes it into this conversation. The overwhelming majority of Muslim men in the world are married to exactly one wife. Polygynous marriages make up a small single-digit percentage of all marriages in Muslim-majority countries. In many Muslim-majority nations, polygyny is legally restricted, requiring court approval, the existing wife's consent, or proof of financial capacity. In Western Muslim communities, the numbers are even lower. The popular image of Muslim men routinely taking multiple wives does not match how Muslim communities actually live. The financial demands alone, equal housing, equal provision, equal time, make it inaccessible for the vast majority of men even if they wanted to pursue it. The reality on the ground is monogamy. That's just the fact. Section 5. The honest complexity. Now, I want to be clear about something. Acknowledging the history, conditions, and context of this practice doesn't mean pretending there's no complexity here. Women in polygynous marriages experience real emotional difficulty. The gap between what Islamic law requires and how some men actually behave is a real and serious issue. Cultural abuses of this practice exist, and they exist in violation of Islamic law, not because of it. These are legitimate conversations. They deserve honest engagement. But those honest conversations cannot happen while the foundation is built on a partial verse, missing history, and no data. Getting the foundation right is the first step. The complexity deserves to be discussed accurately, not through a distorted frame that leaves out most of the picture. So here's the full picture. Islam permits polygyny, conditionally, under a justice threshold that the Quran itself describes as humanly unachievable in its fullest form. The historical context was social welfare and protection of vulnerable women and children. The legal framework includes significant protections for women, including the right to contractually prohibit a second marriage. And the lived reality of Muslim communities worldwide is overwhelmingly monogamous. That's the honest answer to an honest question. My challenge to you, the next time this topic comes up in a conversation, ask one question before the debate starts. Have you read the full verse? 9 times out of 10, the answer is no. And that's where the real conversation begins. Free guide in the description. It walks through the key Islamic teachings people get wrong most often, including this one. Drop your questions in the comments. All of them. I'll answer honestly. If this gave you something real, hit like, share it with someone who's been asking this question, and subscribe for more. Assalamu alaikum. See you in the next one.